Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever and wherever you are. My name is Anna Rochelle, and we are continuing our factoring journey today. And we're going to talk about factoring trinomials when we have our first term is greater than 1. And you'll see 6 examples in this video. I'm going to go through all of them. I strongly urge that you pause this video, attempt some of the problems on your own, and then come back and see how I solve them. Now, there's multiple ways of solving these problems, and I'm just giving you one possible option. This is one of the options that I was given when I was in school, and I really loved it. It just made sense. It clicked. If it doesn't click for you in this method, definitely reach out, let me know, and then I can make some other adjustments in a different video. Okay, let's get started. So in the last video, we really talked about just two numbers that we would multiply to get to this -5 and two numbers that we would add to this -2. But realistically speaking, -5 only has two possible factors, 1 and 5, 1 and -5, and -5 and 1, right? So if these are, I think I just said the same thing 2 times the same way. So these are my two possible factors for -5. Neither of those two is going to add to this -2. And the reason why it's not going to add to this -2 is because of this fabulous 3 right here. So 3 is fabulous because it's going to somehow affect these numbers, okay? What's going to happen is when we open up our two sets of parentheses, our first two terms need to be a set of factors from 3x squared. Our second two terms in both of the parentheses need to be a set of factors of this -5. So if we're going to take a look at these at 3x squared and -5, our factors of 3x squared are going to be 3 times x squared, right? Or 3x, or 3x times x, right? Those are the two possible ways that we can break apart 3x squared. If we break apart 3x squared into 3 and x squared, when we do multiple distribution, especially in here, we're going to get a random different x squared, and that's not quite what we want. So my strong recommendation is to stay away from this as much as possible. Now, you're more than welcome to attempt the problem using this and then using this, but I would prefer not to have a 25-minute video, right? Okay, so we're going to stick with 3x and x, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at what possible factors in here can we use. Well, in the beginning, I would like for you to try one and then try the other. What happens when I have -1 and +5, right? So as I move forward, I would like to check, right? And so in the last video, we said we're going to check by doing multiple distribution, by doing the FOIL method, multiplying things out. So I'm going to do 3x times x is going to be 3x squared, which kind of works out nicely, right? That's what we want so far. 3x times 5 is going to be plus 15x. -1 times x is going to be -1x. And -1 times 5 is going to be -5. Now I know that these two are like terms, so I'm going to go ahead and combine them. And I'm going to be left with 3x squared plus 14x minus 5. That's not quite the beginning that I wanted. That's not quite what I was looking for. So I know now that this is not a possible option, which must mean that I have to have 3x plus 1 and x minus 5. Let's do multiple distribution here just to make sure that we're actually correct, because sometimes it happens that we're not, and so we really want to make sure that we are, right? Okay, so 3x times x is going to be 3x squared. 3x times -5 is going to be -15. X, 1 and x is going to be plus 1x. I hope you guys noticed the look on my face and I was like, wait, what? That's not the right answer. And here's why. We still have this -15, right? So now I'm going to end up with 3x squared minus 14x minus 5. That's not okay either. So what does that mean? Well, here's the other piece that we can do. We can pay attention to. You ready? What if we flip-flop this +1 and this -3? What if we make it 3x minus 5 and x plus 1? So we're going to have 3x squared after we do multiple distribution. So that's kind of really nice, right? And notice how I don't necessarily always have to do that piece. And I'm going to show you what you can do instead in the next problem. So 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times 1 is plus 3x. -5 times x is -5x. -5 times 1 is -5. Again, I know that this is always going to be -5, and I know that this is always going to be 3x squared. It's these two that I'm really concerned with, because those two are the ones that are going to give me this like number, you know? So this is going to actually produce a -2x, which is exactly what I wanted up here, right? So then this must be my final product. Okay, let's take a look at another problem. So again, I know I'm going to be looking for factors of 5x squared and factors of 12. So let's list all the possible factors, right? So when I'm looking at factors of 5x squared, I'm going to say it's going to be 5x times x. Hopefully you've paused the video and attempted this other problem, but if you haven't, now's your chance, okay? And then let's take a look at factors of 12. So factors of 12 are 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. I don't have to worry about the negatives here because this is a positive 19x. So it's really nice, and I can just work with the negatives, with the positives. I'm going to open up my two sets of parentheses. But before I put anything in there, I mean, I guess I can put 5x and x because I know those are really the numbers that are going to go in there. But before I try attempting any of these other numbers, I'm going to take a look and I'm going to think to myself, I want 19x to happen. Can I do 12 times 5 or 1 times 5 and 12 times x? Will that help me get 19? Will 12 times 5 give me a number close to 19? Probably not, right? That's going to be 60. But what about 12 times 1? Well, that's going to be 12. 12 plus 5 is not 19. So I'm not going to use these. Now, another piece is most of the factoring problems that I've done in the last 20 plus years, probably 25 years, 26 years at this point, I rarely see the numbers are so far apart from each other. Now, it does happen every so often, but it's not as common. So I'd stick with numbers that are more like in the center. So take a look. I would, instead of going from top down, I would go from bottom up, right? So let's take a look at 3 and 5. So here's how I was taught, and here's kind of like a way for me to focus on just the center numbers, just these two numbers, okay? I'm going to try 3 and 4. And I know that they're all going to be positive, so I'm going to make them all positive, right? And I'm going to look at 3 times x is going to be 3x. And 5 times 4 is going to be 20. So when I get these two numbers, I'm just doing the center piece, right? I'm just doing this -5 times x and 3x times 1. I'm getting these two numbers only. I don't need the rest of the numbers because I have them and it's not necessary for me to have, right? Okay, well, this is going to give me 23x. That's not an option, right? But in this portion, right, of the video, right, when we did +1, -5, well, we had the right numbers. We just had them in the wrong order. So let's go ahead and let's try them in the opposite order, meaning 5x plus 4 and x plus 3. So again, I'm only going to focus on these two, which is going to give me 4x, and these two, which is going to give me 15x. And when I add those two, I'm going to get 19x. That must mean that this is the correct answer. Because again, I know 5x times x is going to be 5x squared. I know 4 times 3 is going to be 12. And so I'm only looking for what is going to give me this number, right? I can't even just like, I can't take myself seriously. Okay, let's take a look at this next one. So up until now, our A was a prime number. 3 is prime, 5 is prime, but 6 is not prime. So when we take a look at 6x squared, we have options, right? We have 6x times x, and we also have 2x times 3x, okay, for this particular 6x squared. Now for this negative 49, we also have some options, right? Options are negative 1 times 49, positive 1 times negative 49, negative 7 times 7, 7 times negative 7, same thing. Those are our three options. What I'd like for you to pay attention to is as follows. Another method that I was taught without having to write things out like this is to kind of do a quick hand. Now, a quick hand is going to be 2x and 3x, and we're going to attempt to multiply them by negative 7 and 7. The reason why I chose them is because I like to choose the numbers that are not extreme, right? Like 6 and 1, not super far away, but they're more extreme, more further apart than 2 and 3. And then 7 and 7 are not as far apart as 1 and negative 49, right? Those are a lot more further apart. So I like to stick with the numbers that are closer together to attempt first, and then I move to the more extreme numbers as we move forward further along. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply them, because in this case, I would do 3 times x, right, to get 3x, and then 5 times 4 to get 20, right? So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to multiply them out. And here I'm going to get negative 14x, right? And here I'm going to get 21x. So if I do 21 minus 14, I actually get 7x, which is where I get my fancy pants number in the middle, right? My second term. So this is exactly what I'm looking for. So that must mean I'm going to do 2x minus 7 and 3x plus 7, right? Wrong. Here's why. Because when I put these numbers like this negative 7 times 3x is going to be negative 21x. And that's not quite what I want, right? I want these two numbers to multiply together. So if I leave them in the same exact parentheses, I'm going to get the wrong answer. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to flip-flop them. I'm going to take this 2x and multiply it with the 7. And put it in the same parentheses as the 7, and 3x and put it in the same parentheses as the negative 7. This will give me my positive 21x, and this will give me my negative 14x. And then, ta-da, we've got 7x. So it's allergy season. So here we are. I would love for you to pause the video and attempt these 3 problems on your own. This would be a really great opportunity for you to do that. And as you pause this video, I'm going to pause my end of the video, and I'm going to give you some answers for these problems. So here are all the possible factors of all the 3 problems. Let's take a look. We really only have one possible option here for this 3x squared, the same one possible option for the 2x squared, and the same one possible option for the 7x squared, just because they're all prime numbers. And so we can't really do anything with them other than that, right? Okay, so then as we look at 4, we're really going to take a look at this negative piece right here. Because this is a negative number, we're really looking for also negatives in here, right? So one mistake that I made is I should have made them all negative. So negative 2 times negative 2 and negative 1 times negative 4, right? So that's that. And then here we have a positive, right? So a positive 11 right here, which means I'm only going to look at the positive numbers. And here is again positive 35, thank goodness. Otherwise, we'd have double the amount of factors that we'd have to look at, right? So realistically, it's more about trying which ones will work together to give me this negative 8, right? And so if I look at this negative 8 right here, I'm going to need something that looks like this. So negative 2 and 2 would help me out. Negative 2x, negative 6x. And that's going to give me my negative 8x. Let's take a look again here. So here, because I only have one option, it's a matter of checking, do I want the 2 and the 10 in the same parentheses, or do I want the 2 and the 1 in the same parentheses? And in this case, this is the way that we want it because we're going to have 2 times 1 is 2. And then, oh, maybe not what I wanted. Maybe not a 2. 2 times 1 is 1. Oh, sorry, 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 5 is 10. I think I just got really carried away with the 2's. It happens. And so that'll give me my positive 11, the one that I want. And here, again, see, notice how it's 4 and 7 as an answer choice that really fits in here, not the one in the 28. And that's really a piece of why I like to stick with the numbers that are closer together, because it'll show up more and more often in that format. Anyway, I hope that this video was helpful. Join me in another one where we're going to factor out a GCF and then go ahead and factor regularly. I'll see you later. Bye.